right, we're back for part 2 of talking about the negatively oriented Orion group. So we were in the middle of a sentence here, and the question was from the questioner, and this is a little bit of a tough question. It's all over the place.
Kind of like my brain.
Kind of like Jason's brain, so this is perfect for him. I'm going to rehash this question real quick, and then let's dive into this again. So it says, well, we have a large spectrum of entities on Earth with respect to harvestability. We talked about harvestability in an earlier episode on Raw. You can go back and listen to that. Both positively oriented and negatively oriented. Would the Orion target in on the ends of this spectrum, both positive and negatively oriented, for contact for Earth entities, I mean question mark. So for the people that are on the end of the spectrum, ones that are very positively oriented or very positive or negatively oriented, would they be focusing on those two groups? That's essentially what the question is. Ra comes back and says, I am Ra. The query is somewhat difficult to accurately answer. However, we shall attempt to do so. See how they always talk in the form of we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jason and I had gone through the first part that says the most typical approach of Orion entities is to choose what you might call the weaker-minded entity, that it might suggest a greater amount of Orion philosophy to be disseminated. Okay, key word here, philosophy. Why would you use philosophy? Because philosophy doesn't necessarily have the truth in it. It's someone's idea of what they think reality is.
Yes, exactly.
It is not a creational truth. So the Orions disseminate philosophy, and Ra specifically calls it philosophy because they know it's not the truth. It is not something that is actually timeless. Philosophies change all the time. All right, so let's get on to the new part here then. Some few Orion entities are called by more highly polarized negative entities of your space-time nexus. A nexus is a combination of, maybe dimensions or whatever you might call it, but space-time means the material world. And a nexus is a point in time within that material world. So some few Orion entities are called by more highly polarized negative entities of your space-time nexus. In this case, they share information just as we are doing now. So in the same format that the Orion group goes to people that may be channeling or looking for contact, or because it's not that they're trying to send information to people that don't look for contact, they're not open to it. It has to be someone that's open to the contact.
That makes sense.
Whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Okay, so I want to make sure that is also abundantly clear. In this case, they share information just as we're doing now. However, this is a risk of the Orion entities due to the frequency with which the harvestable negative planetary entities then attempt to bid and order the Orion contact just as the entities bid planetary negative contacts. Here's the thing. Someone's reaching out there for a channel, and they're like, I want energy. I want to learn this. And they may be negatively oriented, but here's the problem. When the Orion person meets another negative person, that negative person's like, I want control over you, this entity.
Yes.
I want you to tell me what I want to be told.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then Orion's like, no, screw that. That's our gig. We're not doing that. We're out of here. We hop out. We gone. Later, fool. We're the ones trying to drain, not you.
Right.
And so then it doesn't work for them because you can't have power draining from other power, right? That doesn't, if they're butting heads at that point. So the resulting struggle for mastery. When they talk about mastery, it's that sense of control. You master over somebody else, okay? If lost, is damaging to the polarity of the Orion group. So if they can't master over this person, even though they may be negatively oriented, because then this negatively oriented person during the channel is like, well, I want you to do what I'm asking for. Then they're like, well, this is not good for us. This destroys our power spectrum, our polarity of negativity, so we need to drop this contact altogether. And then it says, similarly, a mistaken Orion contact with highly polarized positive entities can wreak havoc on the Orion troops unless the Crusaders, and I want to get into Crusaders for a second with history after this. There's a lot of things that line up here. It's just fantastic. Are able to depolarize the entity mistakenly contacted. The occurrence is almost unheard of. Therefore, the Orion group prefers to make physical contact only with the weaker-minded entity. So what happens is maybe they come down and they hit a positively oriented one. Maybe they're smashing you and me. right? Sending us all this bad juju. If we sit here and we're like, oh, well, thank you very much for giving us this negative energy. Now I know how to operate in terms with you. Now I can understand you better. And you thank them for it. You neutralize the negativity by turning into something positive, and then you offer them help in return.
Yeah, or you could say...
And then they're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
You've totally depolarized us.
Are showing love towards them.
Yeah. I understand you. I understand you are also a creature of creation.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We're all here to learn. You are taking your path. I'm taking mine. Would you continue to work with me?
Because the beautiful part about this, skipping to the future, is once they evolve, these Orion group, once they evolve,
you're jumping ahead, but I like it.
They go to 6 density, then everybody's the same then.
Right. And
we're all in one.
And when we get deeper into those densities, we're only on the first density response on one of our episodes.
Yes.
So as we get up there, we'll explain how that works. Yeah, we got a lot going on here. But that's that idea. And so it's almost like a magnet, right? You've taken the poles off the magnet at that point, and they're like, crap, I'm neither positive nor negative. You've completely neutralized what I was coming at you with, right? And then they're like, this is not good for us.
Right.
So their best bet is to look for people that are of weak mind and try and negatively orient them or find people to control them. That is what their gig is. All right, so go ahead. I know you got some more stuff here.
No, that's fine. 5314 question here. Well, are both those who are taken on Confederation Orion craft then experiencing a seeming physical examination?
So we're talking about abductions here.
Yeah, I'm talking because I wanted to go into, because that's what everybody's all concerned about. Like, I saw a UFO. I have friends that got abducted. So I wanted to hit those right off the bat, because that's the biggest in the UFO community. That's the biggest, and they have answers to this.
Who's that dude on Joe Rogan that was he was a lumberjack,
right? Yeah,
and he went too close to the ship, and then he did get abducted.
Yes,
but then he thought about it. He said, "There's a couple different things here." Remember when I talked about you can logically be like, "Okay, there's nothing for me to fear," or it's just like, this is something I really need to be fearful of. It's driving it up, even though I know there's no good sense of having fear. For that specific individual, he was like, it took me 40 years to think about what happened and realize that it wasn't a negative abduction. I got too close. I chose to be there with them. And it was only because of my unknowingness did it give me that sense of fear. Okay, that's what it was. He said they weren't even doing any harm to me. I was the one swinging the thing around on the craft, hitting the extraterrestrials.
Yes.
I was the only negative person in there because of my own fear and lack of knowing, my lack of acceptance for that there are other things out there in this universe.
No, I love that. And so they said, well, are both those who are taken on Confederation and Orion craft then experiencing a seeming physical examination?
Seeming.
Raw, I am raw. Your query indicates incorrect thinking.
Yeah.
The Orion group uses the physical examination as a means of terrifying the individual and causing it to feel the feelings of an advanced second density being, such as a laboratory animal.
Yeah.
Terrifying the individual and causing it to feel the feelings of you being less than. So now you're third density, now you're second density lab animal.
You're a lab rat. I've removed you from your natural environment. I put you in a cage, and I'm going to poke and prod you.
And emotionally, I'm terrifying you.
I'm going to give you cancer. I'm going to make you scared. I'm going to do all these specific things. I'm going to subjugate tests on you. Subjugate, because you are my subject. That creates fear. That sort of resonant energy is things that they thrive off of.
Yeah, and then they say the sexual experiences. Here we go.
Yeah, because people are like, I've been anally probed or whatever it is. Like, there's a lot going on here. So go ahead.
The sexual experiences of some are a subtype of this experience.
Right. So that means not only are they going to abduct and do tests on you, and that does fear, but we even know, think about when people get raped here on Earth. That idea of rape is someone's trying to take power and control away from you.
Yeah, they're taking your free will.
Yeah, they want you to feel like a victim because it empowers them. That's the whole idea. It's a power struggle for these people.
It's the battery, the negative thing.
That's exactly what it is. So this is, when they say it's a subgroup, it's like, let's take it a step further. We've already turned it into a lab rat. Let's rape the lab rat. That's what they're discussing.
Yeah, and then the intent, here's the intent of the sexual part.
One of our favorite words.
Ross says this. The intent is to demonstrate the control of the Orion entities over the terrain inhabitant.
Terran inhabitant. Earth-based person.
Yeah. So the intent is to demonstrate control. like you were saying.
That's all it is.
I'm a victim, and here we go. So, but I want us to take this because I thought this would be interesting and make it really practical. So let's go through the quick. We can do this in a few minutes, but go through the quick process. You're on a craft. It's Orion group.
Mm-hmm.
They're emotionally changing your state.
Yep.
And it's a terrifying fear. You're helpless, no
Helplessness.
control.
If you feel a sense of helplessness,
Yeah.
red flag.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then from there, they're making you a lesser being.
They're making you feel like a lesser being.
Yeah, they're making you
You are
feel.
never truly lesser.
Yes, there you go.
They only want you to have that sort of thought form in your mind.
But the experience that you're in and that belief of that experience, and we talked about this consciousness a few episodes ago, but that experience of you, so they've took you out of your natural environment.
Yep.
They've made you begin to feel that you're out of control and that you're negative. Mm-hmm. Then they reinforce it with making you feel like you're a lab rat.
Yes.
And then now they're going to take something that is very intimate,
very primal
with all of us as humans,
This is
the sexual.
It's primal for us.
So you can say, okay, yeah, I don't believe in adoptions or whatever, but this happens. They don't need a spacecraft to do this.
No.
This happens all the time, every day.
Every single day. People get abused and raped, and people strip them of their power and control. It happens in wartime.
Well, we have human trafficking.
Or it happens down the street of a city, or human trafficking, anything like that.
But what I'm saying is, like, when you're because there are people that are living their lives, Alex, and you know this as well as I do, that are drawn to people that do this to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have that victim mindset.
Well, that means they have that negative thought form in their mind that they think about a lot. So you're now aligning with that negatively oriented resonant energy.
Yeah, why does this happen to me all the time?
So that means,
they're saying.
Why? Don't ask that question in terms of why is this happening to me? You chose to drive yourself into certain scenarios. Not to say, I'm not saying that you drove yourself to be a victim of rape. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I put myself in some sort of negative scenario, I put myself there. If I'm walking down a street that is unsafe, I made a choice to walk down that unsafe street. But if I'm constantly having negative thoughts, those are going to drive me towards negative, illogical actions. So a bound occurrence of something to make you feel victimized is more probable when I'm constantly having those thoughts. And I'm not saying you're to blame for your own rape. I want to make that abundantly clear. Okay. And I want to kind of stray away. I want to stray away from the idea of rape here because people are going to freak out.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's the idea of someone imposing on your free will.
Yeah, that's all I'm talking about.
Right.
Whatever that form or function might be, just remember your thoughts. If you continue to have negative thoughts like that, you're pushing yourself towards the preponderance of those occurrences, whatever they might be, whether it seems likely or unlikely, or, earned or not earned.
But I mean, you can be in a mentally abusive relationship.
Yeah, that's a simple way
and
of doing it.
And it be just as harmful
as actually being someone physically hurting you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all the same.
Yes.
Anything where that free will is in the hierarchy and the power spectrum come in.
Right.
There's no understanding. There's no love at that point. Okay? And my love goes out for the people that have been raped, that do feel victimized. Because I want you to know that you are not the victim.
Right.
You are not here on this planet right now to give your power to those people that want to sap it from you. They do not deserve that life energy. They do not deserve those thoughts.
Yeah, and it's your ability, and that power is within you to be able to transform.
Yes.
All of that negative energy that you've experienced through that process, you have the ability inside of yourself to transform that into light and love. Yeah. And then take that experience
and share it with others and help them learn too.
And then now you've created now in service to others, you're just this mass polarizer of just like, okay, that's negative. That happened to you. Well, let me share my story with you. Yeah. And let me give you light and love. Boom. We've healed you. Now next on to the next person. Boom.
Why do you think
now
they have
it's
those
become
groups?
A catalyst of.
Why do you think they have those groups that people show up and like, let's talk about our experiences, right? They have groups where people come in to talk about, post-traumatic stress or, near-death experiences.
As long as the group is not just perpetrating this victim mentality. I've seen that too. You know what I mean?
And that happens, right?
Yeah, but they're just all sitting around talking about how they're all victims. And then they have a whole program of personal development that's all about the self. So now you're doing the same thing.
Yep.
And the Orion group talks about it. They want to mask it they want to make it palatable for you.
Yeah, they want you to come up with those thoughts yourself.
This is delicious. They'll
tee you up,
yes.
right? They'll give it a little bit to you.
So let's get a little heavy. Here we go.
Yeah, go for it.
What is the density of the Orion group? Raw, I am raw. Like the Confederation, the densities of the mass consciousness which comprise the group are varied. There are very few third density, a larger number of fourth density, and a similar large number of fifth density, and very few sixth density entities comprising this organization. So most of it is fourth, and a similarly larger number of fifth. So it's fourth and fifth, and so we're third. So these they have the ability to be able. They're looking at us as weaker. The human beings on Earth, they're looking at us as weaker because they're fourth and fifth.
They are biologically older. They have a more advanced technology. They have an understanding of the spirit in a negative polarization. We, as a collective, have a lack of the spirit and its understanding altogether.
Yeah, because if you're a fifth density negative Orion, you are how many millions of years ahead?
Could be billions.
Yeah, or billions, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's crazy. Think about that.
Think about how much our technology's evolved in 50 years. They have billions of years of evolution.
But this is what's so cool. This is the power of the vibration of love.
Yeah.
Is that you're a third density being, and this sixth density being or fifth density being could come to you. And with that power of love, they're like, I don't want to mess with this person. Now, these are millions, billions of years involved people over us.
Because their understanding is that love actually counteracts everything they're trying to do.
That's how powerful it is, guys.
Yeah. Love will always be that powerful.
Yes.
In times of war, in times of perpetration, victimization, whatever you want to call it, martyrdom, love is always the thing, the glue that binds things together.
This is the part that's so promising that I love. Ross says this, their numbers are perhaps 1/10 ours. At any point in the space-time continuum, as the problem of spiritual entropy causes them to experience constant disintegration of their social memory complexes.
So here's what they're saying. The reason for them having to suck power is because their thoughts, their actions degrade their actual life force.
Yes.
If I'm always thinking negatively, I'm going to get wrinkles on my face. I'm going to develop cancers, all these specific things. So I need to pull energy from something. That's what that is, right? Who is the one? I'm trying to think of a Disney film where the lady gets younger by sucking life force out of like the beautiful maidens.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so it's that sort of conceptual idea. And there's 1/10 of them. And spiritual entropy.
Is it Magnificent or Magnificent?
Maleficent?
Yeah.
Right. So if we look at this, entropy is chaos, right?
Yes.
So it's all these things that are going on all the time. So this spiritual entropy, this spiritual chaos, they're not actually on a very direct path. They live with all these, discrepancies, all this stuff coming in that is incoherent because that's negatively oriented. It deteriorates them. And there's only one, if you think about it, in this universe, 1/10 of the entities of this universe are negatively oriented. But it's the law of equilibrium. So think about how advanced and how negative they have to be to balance out the other 90% that are positive.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And then you think about how much power, negatively oriented power, they're trying to push out. It's banana land.
Yeah, no, it's banana land. And then he says their power is the same as ours.
Of course it is.
The law of one blinks. I love this statement, dude. Listen to this. The law of one blinks neither at the light or the darkness.
No, because it's oneness. It comes together. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm actually going to change my thoughts. This will be something that actually makes me tweak, right? Makes me twinge, makes me itch. No, nothing like that.
Well, I was thinking of like a blink as a subtle, like I'm blinking because it's getting my attention.
That's exactly right.
So it's like,
what happens when you close your eyes?
But it's not showing favoritism. It's not saying, oh, I'm blinking a little bit more because I'm interested in this. It's saying completely equal.
Yeah.
The law of one blinks neither at the light or the darkness. And then he says this, but is available for service to others and service to self.
Yes.
So the law of one can be used to negatively serve yourself. You could say, I'm using love light, push that agenda out there, but really you're this big egomaniac, narcissistic guru,
Yeah.
which we see a lot of. And you're just imposing on people's free will all the time.
Because in the
But
law,
the message is love, light.
in the end, regardless,
It's the intention.
creation knows it's unity.
Yes.
It knows there's a learning that has to happen. So if you take this highly negatively oriented path, you're going to learn the truth sooner or later.
And then he says, however, service to others results in service to self, thus preserving and further harmonizing the distortion of those entities seeking intelligent infinity through these disciplines.
So if intelligent infinity is creation.
I had to read that like 5 times.
So service to others. Remember how I said, because when you help others, it does help you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are living in service to self as you live in service to others.
Mm-hmm.
But if you live only in service to self, what benefit does that bring? It doesn't. You live in an equalized format if you're actually trying to help other people.
And it's actually with, because you're a battery, positive and negative. It's actually, the yin and the yang, the black and the white, and the white and the black.
Yeah.
And this harmonizing of distortions. I was really thinking about that. It's like your intention is, yes, I want to help humanity. Yes, I want to serve others. I'm operating in love and light. But in that background is polarization happening
All the time.
And so you can't look at it in the light of it being bad.
No, it's not bad. It's always learning.
Yes.
You have both of those poles reside within you. The question is, what do you want to do with that internal polarity?
Because ultimately it says they're seeking intelligent infinity through these disciplines.
They seek it.
Yes.
They are still seeking to know creation regardless of the path they take. But if you take the path of service to others, you take the equalized path. But they all end up in the same place. Where do they end up? Back at intelligent infinity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the great mystery. It is creation itself. So no matter how you see it, when the paths diverge, there are no paradoxes. They all end back at one. That is why Ra only specifically talks about the law of one.
And he says this, those seeking intelligent infinity through the use of service to self create the same amount of power, but as we said, have constant difficulty because of the concept of separation, which is implicit in the manifestations of the service to self, which involve power over others. I want us to say the concept of separation.
Concept of separation. The concept of separation is anti-creational.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difficulty. Even though they are searching for that power and knowing and understanding,
The distortion comes there.
that distortion is plaguing that negative path because it's anti-creational. So I'm trying to learn, I'm learning so much, but it actually is driving me away from creation. Where if I take the positive path, I'm learning, and I'm unifying.
Yeah, it's like I'm a liberal Democrat and I hate Republicans. Separation. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm an ultra conservative Republican and liberal Democrats are socialists and they're taking over the world.
Well, then you're never truly able to know the other side. Then you can never really have a
But
way
you
to-
see, just
Yeah.
those words created separation.
Of course they did.
And then in that separation, it created this distortion of negativity, which in turn is through those words that I just said. And if I said them to a group of people, now I've influenced. And if there's a weaker minded person sitting in that audience when I said that,
Yep.
now I have, without maybe not even understanding or knowing
it.
I've pointed out that weaker minded person. So now this fifth density being can be like, oh, there's one.
Yeah, go get them, boys.
Yeah, or oh, Jason's doing a great job, harvesting these people for us. This is perfect. We'll use him.
That's because the higher density would be using you to do their bidding. That's all they want to do.
Yeah, it's amazing. So listen to this, and then we'll have to. Once again, we'll
Go to part 3.
because this is going to take us about 10 minutes on
Yeah.
this. This weakness and eventually disintegrates the energy collected by such mind-body-spirit complexes who call the Orion group and the social memory complex, which comprise the Orion group. So this weakness, so they're actually calling it a weakness and a disintegration of energy.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to, and I thought about this in creation. When you get a virus in a cell, it's the virus. The virus ultimately destroys its host.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like in the beginning, it's multiplying and growing.
It's not.
But you see, it's what do
actually-
they call that when it's morphed or
You know what it's doing?
when it's a negative?
Yeah, it's killing itself.
Yes.
Think about it. Think about the planet.
Mm-hmm.
All of us on it. We're the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Just in that sense, if I want to be negative about it. We think we're growing and multiplying and that there's a benefit to our evolution, but we're actually killing the thing that hosts us, that allows us to survive.
But think about it. So even us.
No, but you think about it. No, I'm just kidding.
I am. I've been thinking about this, and I'll think about it more. But even environmentalists, we have to be careful with this. I was thinking about this in my own self, for my own self practice when I read this last night. That I cannot be negative towards the planet. You know, I'm throwing doomsday stuff out there, 50, 70 years. That's logic, that's fact. But at the same time, I can't motivate people out of fear.
No, it never works.
So whenever we're communicating, you know, and we talk about the big 7, which higher density living people don't know that. And we encourage them, one of our sponsors,
Yep.
Tartle.co. You can sign up. It's free to sign up. I'm going to do a little plug real quick because this is important. It's free to sign up. You can go to Tartle.co, and then you can share your data and help change the world on human rights, educational access.
It's very,
you know, climate stability.
Very service to others.
Yeah, it's service.
Tartle is very anti-Orion.
Yeah. So, but when you look at that, we can even, in the intent of doing good, create this illusion of this. I want to make sure I say it right. We intentionally, as leaders, can with fear incorporate weakness into others and build that up.
Yeah,
very easily.
So
because you know, humanity always tends to go to negative. You know.
Yeah, it's coercion at that point. So when we talk about something, even in like our big 7, right, our climate, we have 70 years to fix it.
Right.
That's not to create fear. This is the logical chain of cause and effects,
right,
that are leading to this. We made that choice.
That's what I was thinking. But at the same time, I don't want to get caught up in my own, because you see a lot of these environmentalists, and they're doing polarized. The same thing as the other. They're using fear or
all the time.
You know,
and we educate.
And you're vegan, and you see that in that community where there's this dogma.
Yeah, and they're like, save the
negative
pigs that are in here. You know, don't like these people. Blah blah. It's like, hold on a second.
Let's kill the CEO of.
Yeah, I know.
What's the bacon guy? The big one. You know what I'm talking about. Oh my god. Hormel?
Hormel?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you don't eat that shit. So
no, but that's the idea here. And that's why it's so important to take everything in terms of education and not try and just sway people through fear. You need to educate them so that they can continue to make those logical, unifying, positive choices.
And that's how you teach.
That's how teaching happens. Teaching can't happen through fear. Fear is the opposite of teaching. Fear is a basis of illogic. Fear is not unity.
Yes.
It's disunity.
Yeah.
Fear is a deterioration of energy. It's a deterioration of life force. That's what that is.
Now, Raw goes heavy into this. I mean, he's got almost a page, just this one answer. And he says this, and we'll close in this. Listen to this. So when Raw is saying these words, I'm going to make sure this paragraph, I'm really paying attention.
I'm not even going to blink at it.
Listen to this. He said, it should be noted, carefully pondered, and accepted. He said, this got me because I'm like, he's like, he's not imposing on your free will, but he's saying, this is a huge exclamation point if he's saying this should be accepted.
He said, think about it.
Yeah, carefully pondered, noted, and accepted. That the law of one is available to any social memory complex, which is to strive together for any seeking of purpose, be it service to others or service to self. This is what I love about this teaching. It's this all-inclusive for everyone.
Regardless.
Whether
you're Adolf Hitler,
yes,
or Buddha.
Yeah.
You're all in the same boat.
It's available to everyone.
It's all there.
Every social memory complex, whether on Earth or...
Otherwise, it would not be a law if it didn't fundamentally apply to everything. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
We've talked about this in our Creation of Law series. That is what is being said here. That is what needs to be accepted. It has to be accepted because that is a deep, timeless truth. That this is not just for, we're good people. We're the only ones that can use law one. No, it's for everybody. It's for everyone to learn from.
And that's what he said. He said the laws, which are the primal distortion.
The word for that, the German word, which comes back to the old Lyrian teaching, the earliest ancestors of the earth is later used by the Anunnaki. When they
there's a land of
they started their words with Uru, you are you. It's that primordial energy. It's the earliest parts of creation.
So he said the laws, which are the primal distortions of the law of one, then are placed into operation, and the illusion of space-time is used as a medium for the development of the results of those choices freely made. So let's get into this. Primal distortion of the law of one then are placed into operation, and the illusion of space-time is used as a medium of the development of the results of the choices freely made.
What it is saying is that your space-time, this material world, is temporary. Doesn't last forever. So anytime we distort things or take other laws that are pieces of the law of one underneath it, it's strictly for learning. Because the laws are the things that are timeless. Space-time doesn't last forever. It's material. It deteriorates. Time-space, the thing that is timeless, where these laws truly reside with creation in spiritual energy, will never go anywhere. They're always there to stay. We are only using it in space-time, in this distortion, to learn. It is a temporary thing. And things that are temporary, okay, aren't the reality. That's what it is. A reality is something that is always there. It is real, verifiable, truthful, forever.
And he said, thus all entities learn, no matter what they seek. All learn the same, some rapidly, some slowly. This is what I liked about it. The illusion of space-time is the catalyst. It is the operation, he says, for me to learn.
There's nothing else but learning. It's like, I'm going to put myself in a virtual reality as like a fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy or whatever, or the Air Force, and I'm going to learn in this virtual reality so that I can carry it to the things that really are truthful and make sense. And regardless how I want to do that learning, I've put myself here. It's only a platform for learning. Creation divided itself in all this energy so that it can send out to the universe. It can go test and learn from itself. And once all the pieces of creation have learned, they can bring that knowledge back to creation. So then creation can, again, learn from it. That's what it's all about. It's always about evolution. It's always about moving forward. It's all about coming back to oneness. A drop of water always finds its way back to the ocean. Always, regardless. That's what this is all about. You finding your way is going through that learning in the material world to find yourself back into moving through those densities of evolution, moving back to that unity state. First, second, third density, fourth, fifth, upper fifth, sixth, upper sixth, seventh, when you start to create things, when you become a true creator. And then you actually merge with the thing that gave you life in the primordial sense.
But think about this, Alex. My day-to-day life in the way, and so now I'm saying this illusion that I'm looking at, this matrix that I'm in, this game that I'm in, every action that I have is a learning process for myself. And how do I act in that learning process? Well, I'm going to act in service to others with love light.
Yeah.
What would your life look like if every moment of every day you were just operating in this, saying, this situation, this person's yelling at me right now. How can I learn from this? How can I give love light? And how can I be of service to this person yelling at me?
And then when you look at, now you've become responsible for your thoughts. Now I'm becoming responsible for my actions. Now I'm becoming responsible for the environment around me and where I put myself, because I realize this is for me to learn. So when this person is yelling at me, it's like almost like if I'm getting an Orion contact that's coming towards me. Thank you. Thank you for helping me learn. I appreciate that. How can I help understand you for why you're yelling at me? How do I neutralize that negative thought form emotion that you're projecting? How can I meet you where you are so we can both elevate each other? How can I help you learn in your what perceived reality is?
Yeah, because I guarantee if you, we'll use this one, I guarantee if you're a Trump rally and there's all these angry people, immigration, all this stuff. And you walk up to them and said, I love you.
Yeah.
You're a human, I'm a human. We may disagree politically. Not a big deal. In the end of the day, I love you and you're just as equal to me as I am to you. Are they going to yell back at you? Would an average human, if you say that to them,
you'd probably
yell back at you?
You'd probably shock
They're
them.
not going to say anything. They're just going to look at you like.
Or they deliver you a lawsuit for hugging them.
Yeah.
Lock that guy up.
But that's the ability of the power of this to be able to disseminate this negative energy.
If you really want to learn, if you really want to understand, you never have to worry about the Orion group.
No, you don't.
That's not for you.
It's not.
That's not for you to live in that reality. Okay?
Stop worrying about demons and all that stuff.
Recognize that those people and their experiences, all that stuff exists. Those entities do exist. Okay? But don't make it the focus for you. That's not the focus. Focus is love, understanding, unity, knowledge, wisdom, truth, equalization, peace, harmony, egalitarianism. Those are the things you should be focusing on.
Life should not be a struggle.
No, and life is your struggle. You choose to make it that struggle. And the material items of this world are transient. They are not real. They will never last. But those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, that unity will last forever because those are creational things. That's what you should live in. You should live those choices, make those decisions, be in environments that are one with creation. And you don't have to worry about the Orion group.
You don't.
Okay? And you know that in the very end, you can feel firm in your thoughts, knowing that you have a strong, rooted foundation, like a redwood tree on the western coast of the United States that's going to be around for hundreds and thousands of years. Because you found that truth. You found that surety in yourself and how you ground yourself in that truth with creation.